Hello and welcome to Wellness by Design today. I'm Jane Hogan, your host, the wellness engineer. And this program is here to help you create that pain free life. And I'm so excited today because I'm welcoming back on the show my dear friend, Kelly Howard. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Well, we've been friends for a few years now, and I just love what you do. I love your message. And I know it's so empowering, and that's what we want to do in this program, right? Empower people. So you are a fitness consistency expert. You're in the Houston area. You've been 25 years in this industry, helping people be consistent in their fitness. And you're so active too. I love all the active stuff you do, the kayaking and the mountain climbing and all that. And that may seem far off for some of our people who are in chronic pain. But what we want, what your message is, and what I'd like to everyone to understand as well, is that when we have fitness and we have movement, this is freedom, right? And for me, one of my freedom images when I was in a lot of pain was like climbing on top of that mountain, because that's
Mm,
what I wanted to do, right? And I'm sure everyone's got this. We to be able to move and be active in this life is what we came here for. When we don't have that because of chronic pain, we want it back. And movement, we need that. So let's just talk about that for a
sure.
while, a moment about how movement is necessary to heal chronic pain. What can you tell us about that, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't mind, I would love to start with a story because this whole journey of mine started with pain,
That's the best way to start. I love the story.
right? That's the best way to start with pain. Sorry. But no, so I was running a company. It was my outdoor adventure club. And so, my job was to teach people to get active and, do all the things. And I'm telling everybody to do all this stuff, right? But what I'm doing behind the scenes is working, 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 highly stressed, like the most stress I'd ever had in my life. My mother was ill. I bought a new company. It was just all the things, right? And so I'm like telling people that they need to be moving, but instead I'm sitting on my back end and I'm stressing. So one day I wake up and I couldn't move. I was in so much pain that, like, my first thought was, I think I'm dying, right? Like, I mean, what else do you think? Right? My back was completely seized up. I literally crawled to the bathroom to pee and crawled back to the bed and didn't get out of bed for like 3 or 4 days. And
Oh,
in that time period, I'm Googling, like, am I dying basically? But the truth is, it's in the back of my head. I knew the whole time, I knew exactly what was wrong. I had been I'd been doing all the things I said not to do. Being that mom that says, "Do as I say, not as I do."
yeah.
And in that, what ended up being about a week of just literally ibuprofen every day, which I don't usually do, and, all the stuff, I realized that all of my friends were in the same situation. Like, we were all working too much. We were all caring for everybody else. We were just all in this situation where it's everything for everyone else and not focusing on ourselves, not focusing on our movement, not and when we were moving, it was like, going out and doing the big things, not doing the small things that would get us to the
Yeah.
big things.
But the
And
baby steps.
right? Like just that little stuff. And that's where this whole thing was born. Like, it took me a few years, but I started out just getting friends like they were guinea pigs. I'd be like, "Hey, you wanna come try this thing with me because is what you're doing, is it working?" And they'd be like, "No, it's
Mm.
not working."
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing about movement is, it can be simple to do, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. I remember I
Right.
interviewed Yoni Witten, and he said the studies show that rhythmic movement, like walking, right, is one of the most effective ways to lower pain. But there's also, especially if, I guess, if you're doing the movement outdoors, this is how I feel anyway. You're out in nature, there you're feeling less stress. So I mean, stress is like what's I believe the root cause behind pretty
Yeah.
much, all pain and chronic diseases. Pretty close from all the interviews I've done, people I've spoken to. So stress has that component as well, plus the detoxification because through the breath because you're breathing more. And also the lymphatic system has got like all of those beautiful parts together, but it doesn't have to be complicated. So,
No,
but you need consistency. And that's what you're about, right? So,
you do.
what does that picture look like of this?
So to me, the picture looks like two things. The first thing is just like the very foundation. And a lot of people think they need a workout plan. And I don't believe we need a workout plan. I believe we need a fitness plan. And a fitness plan is different. Like if I say to somebody, "Oh, you need a workout plan," what's the first thing that comes to mind? I've got
Go
to
to the
go to
gym.
the gym, right? I got to go to the gym. I've got to do all the weights. I got to do all the things, and it's exhausting. It's not necessarily what most people want, and they don't do it.
Right.
In the story, I get it. When you have like a fitness plan, that's a lifestyle. It's
Mm.
not it's not just going to the gym. It could be if that's your thing, but it doesn't have to be. Like in my world, I believe that consistency comes from doing things that we like, that we realize that we can do easily, that aren't like, super time consuming unless you want them to be. Like there's just so many pieces to it that we don't look at necessarily. Someone told me recently, they're like, your book is like an fitness book. And I laughed and I went, you know what? I'm going to take that as a super compliment because there's nothing in there that says you have to do this. It's about why don't you find the things that you enjoy. You're gonna have to add in a couple of things that wouldn't be your norm. Like, I like people to add in a little bit of mobility. That's usually not anybody's norm. And it doesn't have to be static stretching at all. It can just be like, a little yin yoga or something. But something that gets our joints flowing. And when we do that, we suddenly feel better, right? And the consistency becomes easier. Like consistency comes from a lot of places. One is, doing something you enjoy. 2 is making sure that you schedule. Um, a lot of people don't wanna schedule. Scheduling is probably the golden rule, and I have very few rules in life. So, that's probably a golden rule. Another one is finding we talked about this briefly, finding your North Star. And your North Star is gonna change throughout your life, and you may have more than one. But what it's going to do is it's going to keep reminding you of why you're moving, right? Like for me, when I finally did enough stuff that I was able to get out of that bed and start feeling better, my North Star immediately became I'm going to live pain free because I can't do this again. Like I'm not built to not move. And so figuring that out, and I mean, North Stars are different for everybody, but a lot of times when people first come to me, they'll say something like, I'll be like, what's your goal? They'll say, well, I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
all right. Well, that's not too sexy, but okay. Um, why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Right. Well, just recently, well, my daughter's getting married and I want to look good at the wedding.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot
All
of
right.
people are motivated by
Right.
an event.
There. Exactly. Now we're getting somewhere. Why do you want to look good? That's the stumper. Well, because I wanna look good. No, like, what's really driving that?
Yeah.
And for her, it was like, wow, she said, "I haven't really thought about this," and she actually teared up. She said, "'Cause I haven't felt like I look good for a while." And I
Mhm.
went, "Well, let's change that." Like, let's find that piece of you that just says, "Yeah, I could pass the mirror and I feel good." Other people's North Stars are different. Like, mine tends to be like, so I can do the things I love to do.
Mhm.
But start digging in and finding that North Star. So then when you've created your schedule and it's, day 3 and you're thinking, I don't really feel like doing it. You either think about your North Star or you say, okay, if I skip today, that's going to be okay because I don't have to do perfection, but I'm going to have to make sure I figure out the rest of the week.
Right. Yeah. We're so similar, Kelly. I call it desire, right? In my
Right.
steps, it's that desire, like having that vision of what is it that you want. And but it's a feeling really where all
It
we're
is.
ever after is a feeling.
It is. It's always a feeling.
It's always It's a feeling. So I
Mm,
love that. So your North Star, you're feeling that you're after. And really, even if people think like they want lots of money, it's not really that. They want a feeling of freedom, right? Or
right,
right? So
right.
it's always a feeling. So tapping into that feeling, and I love the work of, I know you're familiar with Joe Dispenza as well. When we teach ourselves what that feels like, it helps like motivate us, helps our brain come online, it helps, the vibration that matches that. So there's so many different things happening when we create that visceral feeling in our body. I love that. So starting with that, and then you also mentioned having a plan, like scheduling it, right?
I mean, we really like what is scheduled is real. We all know this. How many people is listening right now have a to-do list and then they did something that wasn't on their to-do list. So they go back and they write it on the to-do list and then check it off.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Lots and lots of us. I do it all the time because it gives us that little dopamine hit,
Yeah,
right? And it makes it real. So you've got that schedule. You're not going for perfection because perfection isn't real.
right.
Um, you're going for that feeling, like you said, the feeling that the North Star gives you. Um, and just one quick thing about perfection, like when I do a schedule for the week, my goal is to hit 80 to 90% of that schedule. Okay. It's not to hit 100% because of two reasons. One is that if I'm trying to get 100% and I miss it, then I feel bad,
Right.
right? Like I feel shame. Whoops, there I go again, not doing the thing I said I was going to do. And the other reason is that, well, I guess the other reason you don't want to be hitting 100% all the time is that if you are, then your plan may not be quite as difficult as you might want to make it.
Right. So you could
Right.
challenge yourself to do more.
Push it a little bit. Yeah, it is a challenge. I mean, this is fun stuff, but it is a little bit of a challenge.
Mm. So
Yeah.
what do you do when you or me or someone else has a plan and then they don't follow through on it? What do you do with that?
So, there's a lot of things. One of them is that I believe that I believe that we need accountability. Okay. Now, accountability is in my world layered. Okay. Layered accountability starts out with simple stuff. Apps don't really work, but people like to use them. That's not a totally fair thing to say. Apps work 5% of the time. People like to use them. Scheduling something that you're going to shoot for, right? Um, Another one is like, when somebody wants to do a retreat with me, that's in there because now they know they're going to, in 3 months, they're going to be walking up mountains. So they probably should get, moving. And then it keeps going up, right? It keeps going up. Maybe getting a coach, having an accountability buddy. In the end, the top of that pyramid is you, right? We always have to be accountable to ourselves in the end. But it's a learned behavior, right? We don't just walk out the door going, I'm my own accountability buddy. That's great. We have to do all the things so that it suddenly becomes such a habit that it's not a thing. We're just
Right.
we just do it, right? So so if somebody's having trouble following through on what they want, I would suggest a few things. One of them is look at their plan. Is the plan something that they really want, or are they doing it because back to the high level, I need to lose weight or, whatever. I want to get in last year's jeans. I don't care. Like, you know, is the plan something that really gets you excited?
Mhm.
And I'm going to digress for just a second. In my world, I think your plan should have three things. It should have some mobility, it should have some cardio, and you should have some strength
Right.
or resistance training. That's just like, mix and match, but get those all in there because they're important. Um, it's like when somebody diets. Diets typically don't work because they're not any fun. You show me a fun diet, that might change things, right? So it's having something that you're excited about. That's probably the first piece of accountability. I mean, of consistency. Then having some accountability. An accountability buddy is great. I tend to be like, don't use the three bad accountability buddies, which is the app. Um, your best friend, because your best friend always lets you off the hook, and your life partner because they know all the triggers to get you to sit down on the couch and watch Netflix and eat pizza. So those three, forget them. You want, a couple of people that you can use as accountability buddies, and it works if you work it. Then have something to look forward to. When you've got something to look forward to, it's like your picture of walking up the mountain, right? When you have that I'm gonna climb a mountain and it's exciting to you. And we don't have to all be climbing mountains. I mean, I have people who say, I want to be able to play with the grandkids in the pool and throw them around and feel good about it. Doesn't matter, right? Just have that thing to look forward to and always bring that feeling and that vision back to you when you feel like, I don't know, I don't feel like working out today, or, maybe it's time to throw in the towel. Maybe this is never going to work.
Mhm.
It has worked for every person I've ever worked with that's willing to do it.
Mhm. I love
Every
that.
person.
What do you think of the idea of like your future self being your motivator, accountability kind of partner? Have you ever done that, and has that
Oh,
worked
yeah.
for people you've worked with?
Oh, yes. In fact, one of the modules in our in the course that I teach is your future self,
Yeah.
because I think it's so powerful. And the reason it's so powerful to me is that not only is she, since we're both women, not only is she like someone that you're looking to for accountability, she can't become who she is without you taking the action today. She
Exactly.
won't be like, if for me, my future self, I very clearly see her. I see her sitting in front of this fireplace. I don't have a fireplace now. I see her sitting in front of this fireplace. Her hair is shorter than mine is now. She's a little bit thinner because she's a few years older, but she's still like solid muscle. And I mean, I see her very clearly, and I know that she's not going to be able to get there if I don't do my part today.
Mhm. I think for women too, well, I say women, but maybe just culturally we're conditioned, to part of what gets us into our stressful state is trying to please people so much. So I think in some ways that whole future self relationship, it kind of like plays on that aspect where
Yes.
we try to help people, right? Okay, I can't let her down. Right?
Right.
So, but instead of it being someone in real life, it's our future self, and then it's serving us instead of not serving us. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Kelly, I can see your book on the shelf behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about your book. I know it's kind of a new, fairly recent, so let's hear about it.
Yes. It came out about 2 months ago,
Uh-huh.
and it's called Fit, Active and Ageless for Life. Uh, and it started out, everybody listening, I just have to tell you all this. It started out as, well, this should be really good for my business. This is what I need to do. 100% honestly, it was a marketing thing. And then I started writing.
Yeah.
And the more I wrote, the more it became like this labor of love. Like I was writing all of my clients' stories. And just every time I wrote one of those stories, I just feel like, wow, that was so cool. That was just so much fun when that happened. And just seeing what's happened for everybody, it just turned into something that started out as a kind of a black and white thing. It turned into this multi-dimensional, colorful piece of life that I just had so much fun doing.
Good.
Now, of course, I honestly, it was hard. It was hard, and when I wasn't consistent, it was really bad because I had to really, at the very end, I had to sit down and go, "All right, Kelly, you need to pull your consistency self together and use it for your writing just like you do for your fitness. There is no difference." Like,
So
and
true.
because I was really not finishing it. I was kind of fiddling around.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is that I finished that book as I was flying, getting ready to land in Canada. I thought of you, my one of my Canadian friends, and I finished it and I went, "Yep, that's done." And I closed the book, landed in Canada. I was like, "Yeah, that was fun." But it really needed that consistency piece at the very end to make it happen. Because otherwise I would still be like writing every other day, a couple of minutes.
You know, I get that. I get what you were saying about the book because I'm still writing mine. And probably I need some consistency tips, but I I feel like it takes on like it becomes like a living, breathing thing.
It
And,
is.
it's like, you get clarity. I get clarity as I'm writing and really feel like this is coming through me and needs to go out in the world. People need to hear this, and I know that's the same for your book. So, give us a. I mean, obviously the title's pretty clear, but what can people expect from your book?
Yeah, I guess the first thing is kind of addresses what you just said. I have had so many people say to me, "Oh my gosh, thank you. I saw myself in some, whoever it is, Linda or Renee or Sarah or whatever. I saw myself in their story and I realize now I can do it too." The book itself starts out and I tell the story of a retreat that I led a few years ago. And in that retreat, we had just finished it was my group program. We had just finished something I do called Sugar Freedom. And Sugar Freedom's tough. It's like 30 days, no sugar, no processed foods, no alcohol, it's just all the no's. And I don't usually do a lot of no's, but this is, the one no thing I do. And everybody was so proud of themselves. Like, we were just like high-fiving each other virtually because it's all on Zoom. People are from all over the country, Canada. And so I've been thinking about what if I led a retreat? But I wasn't quite sure. So I just kinda, like, tossed it out there. Who wants to go climb mountains with me? And everybody's like, "I do, I do, I do." I was like, "Awesome." And then all of a sudden, deer in the headlights. Everybody's like, "Wait a second. What do you mean climb mountains?" And that's how the book starts out because what happened was we trained virtually together, and it was about a 3-month period, I think, roughly. We all got on the top of that mountain together and looked around. Now, okay, it's the Smoky Mountains. They're not that high. They're just not that high. But I live in Houston. We're like below sea level. It's high to me. And we're just like so proud of each other and high-fiving each other and just like the smiles. And that's how the book starts out because that's a North Star. For a lot of people, that was a North Star. Not their only North Star, but it got them going. And I want everyone to feel that way. But to feel that way, you really do need to, there's that word need, you really do need to have a fitness plan. And that fitness plan is your movement, it's battling pain, right? If that's one of your things, because a lot of my people have experienced some pain issues. I've experienced them myself in my life. It's dealing with the pain, it's dealing with the food, sleep, all the things that hold us back so that we can have the life that we want to live.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. I love it. Okay, so I'll have the title of the book down there so people can find it. I guess it's available on everywhere you find books.
It
Amazon.
is available everywhere. I know that's super easy to find on Amazon, but it is available everywhere you look for books.
Okay. Um, okay. So is there anything we haven't talked about yet that you want to make sure comes across for our audience watching or listening?
Can I tell a story?
Yeah, I love stories, Kelly. Let's hear it.
Yeah. I love stories too. So this story goes back maybe 10 years ago, and I was leading a hike in Houston, Texas. So Houston, Texas, like I said, is pretty flat, but we have a few places that are, up and down. It requires some effort. So I have this group in a parking lot early morning, and this lady pulls up in a car and she gets out. And when she gets out, she has a cane. It's not hiking poles, it's not a hiking stick, it's a cane. And she said, "Oh, I just wanted to prove to myself that would come here. I'm not going on the hike with you. My knees hurt too much, my back hurts. I I I'm not in shape to do this. So, but I just wanted to prove that I would get here. So I'll come back in a couple of years." Well, she obviously didn't know me. So I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So we're going to help you do this hike." And it was a bunch of people that didn't even know each other. And we did. Like, it was one of those takes a village moments where we helped her up, we helped her down. If she was feeling, if she was hurting too much, then we'd all do some, leg circles and hip circles and knee circles and get back on, into the groove so the mobility was there. And we finished this hike. And when we finished it, she's just like, over the moon, over the moon. She's like, I never thought I could do that. I never thought I could do that. This is amazing. Right. So, end of story, except that probably 5 years later, I get an email from her and it has a picture in it. She's at the base of Yosemite Falls Trail.
Oh, wow.
Yosemite Falls is a tough trail. I've done it. And she says, guess what? It's my birthday. I'm taking my friends to the top of this trail. And then when I get back, I'm taking off and I'm going to go hike around the country for, and I don't remember how long she said, a year, 2 years, whatever. And it was such a, like, it was one of those moments for me where I was just like, well, I guess I'm done. I've done exactly what I need to do in life. I'm done. But it was so cool because here was somebody who was not in shape. She was not ready. She was in pain. She was all the things, right? And she went from that to literally hiking her way across the country.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
beautiful. I know we all kind of feel this like if I can just help one person, then that's all I need to do. And I know you've helped a lot more than one person and me too. But when you think of that one person though, like that story, it's just so heartwarming. That's all that really matters. Kelly, I know you've got a gift that you want to share with the audience. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes. Guess what? I have a free book. When you were saying, "Where can they get it?" I'm thinking, "Well, I think they can get it from you." Um, it is an electronic book, an ebook, but if you go to Jane's show notes, you'll be able to get a free copy of the book, and it's the full book, so you just and the cool thing with the book is that it also comes with some fun bonuses. So in those bonuses, you get a quiz that shows you where to start because the book's gonna take you through creating a fitness plan, and and in there, I reference a lot, like, what level are you starting at? The fitness quiz shows you where you're starting, so that's easy to make that plan. And then you get a fitness plan journal, which will take you through creating the whole thing, plus a couple of other goodies. And it really comes out to be, I think, such a nice, I mean, I'm gonna use the boring turnkey, right? Such a boring term, but it is. Like, it takes you and gives you the full picture. And I think that's what is missing when we're just told that we either need to diet or we need to get a workout plan or something like that. Forget that. Get a fitness plan, make it part of life. Obviously, listen to Jane and get rid of the pain because the pain is such a stopper. And then just grab the book from the show notes.
Mm, right. We'll have the link there. No, that's so sweet of you, Kelly, and the bonuses as well. So thank you so much for that for the
Absolutely.
audience. And where is the best? Oh, wait, now I got one more question.
Yeah.
What? So this is all about wellness by design, intentional living for creating freedom, pain freedom in our lives. So what would you say is the one thing someone could do today to begin to initiate that healing, get their body on into a healing state so that they can live into that pain freedom?
One thing being movement wise or
Whatever you
cleaning.
want. Whatever you want.
Okay. I I'm big into mindset. I really think that before you start moving, you should, sit down and just make the intention
Yeah.
that what it is that you want. If it's the feeling, like Jane said earlier, is it the feeling? Because really it is. That's what we're going for. But sometimes we don't see that immediately. What is it that you want? And put that front and center in your life, in your on your refrigerator and your journal, whatever it is, and just feel into that because that's going to get you moving and keep you moving even when you don't want to.
I love that. This is why we're friends. We think alike. And
Right?
you know what you made me think of there just when you were talking about like digging deeper with this client of yours and even what you said there, like it's not just this. There's an exercise I did one time about asking 7 whys. Have you heard of this before? So why I keep asking yourself, why do I want that? Why do I want that? And then you keep answering, why do I want that? And the idea is that after 7 whys and maybe sooner, you'll get to like the real why.
Right.
So I love that we kind of touched on that today with your little story about your client and then your advice about figure out your why, what's motivating you, your dream, your desire. Really, really beautiful. Thank you so much. So
Thank you.
where are you most active? Like where should we send people? We can send them to
You know,
anywhere, of course, but where are you most active on social?
really, I actually send everybody to my website
Okay.
because it just, it's the easiest place to find everything.
Yeah.
And that is just simply fitisfreedom.com.
Love it.
Fitisfreedom.com. And you can follow me from wherever there. Or even just drop me a note if you've got questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, we'll have all of that. We'll have the website in there. And then from there, the other places where people can find you as well. And follow Kelly. She's such a decent, beautiful human being doing
Thank you.
wonderful work in this world. And I'm so grateful for you, Kelly, and everything that you do. And I'm grateful to have you as a friend. So thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to have you. And thank you to everybody listening.
Yes, thanks everyone listening. And please share this. And if you're motivated to do so, please leave a review or a comment. And if you know someone that needs to hear this, please share this with them because you could be changing their life and helping them create more freedom. All right, take care, everyone. We'll talk again soon.